Here we have 15 bags of Rowntree's randoms that we're going to use in our analysis to test out how random they truly are.
Before we start, what actually are randoms? Well, they're an assortment of sweets that come in 4 different types. You've got your classic jelly ones, which are all jelly, no nonsense. You've also got the foam-backed ones, a half and half split of jelly and foam. Thirdly, you've got your juices, which are a mix of a jelly outside with a juicy core. And last, but certainly not least, our personal favourites, the foamies, which are all foam and come in one flavour.
The other 3 types of sweets all come in 4 different colours for the 4 different flavours, and to stay true to their name, all sweets come in a variety of random shapes.
So before we go into this, what are our thoughts? Well, I'm particularly curious about the overall distribution of the different types of sweets. Perhaps there's some that are more common than others. The foamy ones we mentioned are our favourites. You definitely seem to get less of those, but maybe that's not the case. And looking at individual bags, is the distribution of sweets fairly similar on a bag-to-bag basis, or is there a bit of randomness there? Is one bag sometimes going to have more of one sweet in compared to another bag? Anecdotally, I've had some bags which seem to have had more of the foamies in, and then the other day I had one with none in. Disaster. Not none, but like 3.
Ultimately, what we really want to try and find out is how random they actually are. In other words, is there an equal proportion of colours, is there an equal proportion of shapes, and is there an equal proportion of types of sweet? All right, let's get started. Bag number 1. First up, we have an orange foam back.
That's a juicer.
Is that a juicer? Oh man, he's going to identify me. Okay. A juicer, possibly a lime.
Yeah, it's a sun with a smiley face.
Okay, smiley sun.
Call it smiley sun.
Hope we get more used to these shapes.
We've got our first unidentified object. No idea what it is. I think it's either a... Literally, honestly, no idea. I think we're gonna say fossil for now.
Fossil foam backed red.
It's like 2 interlinked. I have no idea. Let's say earrings.
Okay, so only 7 sweets in, and we've already got our first repeat offender of a foamy padlock.
So interestingly, we've got 2 of the same, which we have now identified as a pretzel. One of them's green, one of them's purple, and one of them's a foam, and one of them's a non-foam. So there's an overlap of the shapes between the foamies and the classics. Alright, we've just finished our first bag. Interestingly, fairly uneven split. We've had a lot of the foamy ones, quite a lot of the purples and reds as well, which are our favourite ones. Not so many of the orange and greens, so we're pretty happy with that, I think.
Indeed.
But it does show there's a bit of a skew, at least in this bag.
But it could suggest true randomness and fairness.
Good.
Should we crack on?
Let's crack on.
Juicer, red, button. Foamy, pink, musical note. Back foam, green, underpants.
Okay, so this is number 4.
Classic. Ooh. Classic red shark.
Have a look. Ooh.
Classic green paintbrush, I think.
Yeah.
Foamy pink.
I wrote paintbrush. This is bag 7.
Juicer red clock. Foamy pink toaster. Crack foam red, the letter capital R. Foamy pink ice cream. Juicer orange ladybird. That's the bag.
Oh. So, a few days have passed. We've opened all the bags. In fact, we only opened 10 in the end. But now we've gone through the data, and here's what we found.
So, first, let's take a look at the different types of sweets. So what we saw is that we had 30% of our sweets across the 10 bags being classic jellies, 29% foam backs, 21% foamies, and 19% juices. Looking at individual bags, these proportions vary significantly. For example, one bag had 44% classic jellies, nearly half of the total for that bag and well above the overall proportion of 30%. The same bag had just 10% juices, in contrast to another bag which had a much more respectable 35%. This suggests that there is randomness for the types of sweets within individual bags and that this can be quite extreme.
Looking at the colours of the sweets next. Across all 10 bags and across all the types of sweets, including the foamies, which all come in the same pink colour, 22% were red, 21% orange, 21% pink, 19% green, and 16% were purple. Looking at it in this overall way, it looks like there was generally an even split of the colours, with maybe slightly less of the purples. The juices only came in red and orange, with 53% red and 47% orange. This suggests an even 50-50 split of the two colours for the juices. With the classic jellies and the foam backs, due to these having a similar overall frequency and the fact that they share most of the same types of shape, we've grouped these two together. This combined view came out at 33% green, 27% purple, 20% orange, and 20% red. The fact that orange and red were less common may be deliberate, considering the juices were restricted to just these colours, so this helps even things up overall. Despite their overall even split, on a bag-by-bag basis, juices were very inconsistently distributed, suggesting randomness here within individual bags. With the classic jellies and the foam backs, some bags were missing types in certain colours, again suggesting a random spread.
So, moving on to the shapes now, the total number of distinct shapes across the 10 bags was 97, which consisted of 67 shapes within the classic jelly and foam backs, 21 for the foamies, and 9 for the juices. The robot was the most common by some margin with a total of 15, while the next most popular was the clock with 11, closely followed by the pretzel and the monkey with 10 each. Also worthy of note was that we had 18 shapes that only appeared once, suggesting there were probably more shapes out there that we didn't see. If we now look at the shapes within each type, the juices had the least variety of shapes with only 9, all of which were unique to the juices. Each of these occurred at least 6 times, meaning we probably saw all the shapes of this type. There were no obvious outliers, suggesting the shapes were equally common and therefore random. If we look at the foamies, which had 21 shapes, again all unique to this type, we saw more of a spread in terms of frequency, with the gnome cropping up 8 times, while 5 of the shapes only made an appearance once. This suggests that these shapes are not randomly distributed, and that there may be some further shapes out there that we didn't see. Unlike the other two types, the classic jellies and the foam backs share the same set of shapes. The robot with 15 occurrences and the pretzel with 10 were by far the most common, compared with just 1 occurrence for 13 of the shapes. This does suggest that certain shapes within this type are significantly more common than others, and therefore that we don't have a truly random spread. Across all the shapes, all seem to come in both classic jelly and foam back types. However, it does seem that certain shapes have biases towards one over the other.
So in short, if you buy a bag of randoms at your favourite supermarket, how random should you expect them to be? First of all, you could easily have significantly more of one type than another, but you're most likely to have the most classic jellies or foam backs.
Secondly, despite the overall even distribution of the 5 colours, within an individual bag, you should expect to see an uneven distribution of those 5 colours, perhaps even not getting a single colour within a certain type.
Finally, there is a wide range of shapes out there, some of which we probably didn't even get within our 10 bags. However, you're the most likely to get a cheeky little robot or pretzel. That's it for us. It's time to eat the rest of these 10 bags of randoms.
Classic orange unicorn.